Hey everyone, it's Michael, and today I'm going to be talking about Give Yourself Goosebumps Last Chance, Special Edition number 8, Weekend at Poison Lake. This is one of the easier Special Edition Give Yourself Goosebumps books to find, thank God. I managed to get a copy, I have it now, I read the whole book, and now I'm going to review it just because it was fun. I would say this is on par with the third of the special editions, the Escape from the Circus of Fear, or whatever it was called. I recently read that and reviewed it here on my channel, and that was a good book, and this is a good book. Weekend at Poison Lake. The reason I chose to read this one out of absolutely nowhere is because I read the back of the book, and it seems to me like you could consider this a summertime book. And of course I'm doing my little summertime Goosebumps book reviews here on the channel with you guys, and I'm having a fun time talking about these things when they're not camp books. And this one is almost close to being a camp book, but then it's not, thank God. Essentially, when you open up this book, it's kind of the same situation as some of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books. From what I've read, I've only read about 4 or 5 of these books now, from this era, or this section, sect, branch, whatever, of Goosebumps. And the thing is, with these, every once in a while you'll get one that's kind of different. So like, for example, this one, you open up the book, and it's a choose-your-own-adventure book for anybody who doesn't know what that is. You basically read a page, and then at the bottom of the page you'll have an option to do one of 2 things, and you go to another page out of those 2 choices of pages to go to. That'll give you the rest of your story. This one is a little bit different from the other books I've read so far from the Give Yourself Goosebumps series. What this one does, when you open it up, it actually tells you to pick a lucky number, and this is on page 1, and you pick lucky number 2, lucky number 3, 4, or 5, and depending on which of those 4 you pick, you go to that page. For example, if you pick lucky number 2, you go to page number 2, the immediate next page, and then your story starts there. And each of these lucky numbers are their own small, compact, kind of similar, a little bit too much similar, short stories that you follow through. And they have the options of doing choice A or choice B type stuff throughout the stories. But all of these 4 stories are kind of similar and kind of just a little bit different at the same time. They're real odd. It's a real odd, real out there book. Of course, like all the other Give Yourself Goosebumps books and a lot of other just outside of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, it is silly, it's funny. There are a couple of times it can get kind of a little tense. Not scary, not creepy, not eerie, not atmospheric, but a little tense. You know, a little worrisome about where you're going to go next, what choice you're going to make next. And you have the power of your lucky number. So like, for example, you might get to a certain page and it'll say, for 5 times the luck, take your lucky number 5 and multiply it by 5 times, and then that would be page 25, and you'd go to that. Then you continue your adventure from there. The first story, lucky number 2, is essentially a... it starts off as a wolf attack, and then it becomes something way bigger. It becomes a Bigfoot attack, and I did not see that coming. For whatever reason, I don't think any title of Goosebumps in any era has ever mentioned Bigfoot, as far as I know. I don't know why I didn't think that we would ever come to a point of having Bigfoot in Goosebumps anywhere. So that was kind of cool, kind of different. That story was fine. It was decent. It was really wild. Like I said, the Bigfoot thing really threw me off when you see him walking into the woods out of nowhere. Oh, by the way, just so you know the story, pretty much all of these stories are a little bit different in the details, but the main setup is pretty much the same thing. The reason I think these are summertime books are essentially that, at least with the first story, and the other ones are kind of the same thing, but I'll get into that in a second. Essentially, your parents and you are visiting this cabin at a lake, right? And the lake is supposedly poison. That's why it's called Poison Lake. And it's more of a local's nickname for the lake. And everybody's afraid to swim in it. Nobody will swim in it. They all are afraid of what the different rumors are they heard about this thing. And so it may or may not be poison. We don't really know. You have to find out as you read the story. Or one of the 4 stories here. But anyway, with this first story, it's mostly focused on the wolf and then the Bigfoot attack type thing. Not too much on the actual lake itself. But then the other stories, like lucky number 3, 4, and 5, they kind of changed the details just a little bit. Like, one of them, it turned out that your family had just bought the cabin and moved into it, you know? So the details aren't always the same thing. The second story in here was real crazy. You think the Bigfoot thing is weird? Now, this subject matter has been touched a bunch of times by Goosebumps. It was essentially a wild, sort of kind of alien attack, but not like a War of the Worlds kind of attack, more of like aliens pop up. They're like, hey, we want the secret ice cream recipe from a place called Ben and JoJo's, which is a play on Ben and Jerry's. And I'm not making this up. This is legit. This is from the book. The main character has like 2 days to live. And like when he got in the lake in this story, as soon as he got out of the lake, he was glowing in the dark. And it was wild. And like, there was all kinds of stuff that happened in that second story. Lucky number 3 was really crazy and really fun, honestly. Especially when the second side character guy that our main character doesn't know that works at the store comes into play. I thought he was pretty cool too. Story number 3, which is also lucky number 4. That's what it was. Yeah, lucky number 4. That story is a little bit more surprising to me of the things that happen in this book. Now, again, I might seem like I'm spoiling a lot of stuff, but again, you have to realize there's so many endings to this book and these different short stories throughout the book that I'm telling you just like fractions and tiny pieces of these stories. So I'm not trying to spoil anything for you too majorly, so don't get upset about that. But you have a lot of stuff to experience in here, I promise. Even if I tell you something like an alien attack type story like I just did, there's so much that happens in there. And so many grisly details of what can happen to you being killed and stuff in these stories. These Give Yourself Goosebumps books do not care about censorship or any kind of, oh, think of the children. Like, they're not like that. They don't think like that. They are written in a way that they are going to be grisly if they want to be grisly. They're going to be funny if they want to be funny. They're funnier more often in this book than they are grisly, but this book has some details of some things happening to you if you make a bad choice or if you have a situation that's an accident that kills you or something. It's really surprising, honestly, to me because of how bold this was, even for the 90s when this was coming out, and maybe the 2000s. I think these ended before Series 2000 started, but still, it really surprised me. Story number 3 was a little bit more traditional and a little bit more adult in some weird ways. Not because of like any kind of sexual type thing or politics or anything like that, but oddly enough, there was the story about this old lady who came up to talk to you at the lake or something, or you came up to her house, something like that. And essentially when she's talking to you, she talks about how one of the locals in the neighborhood that lives near your house, it might even be next door, I can't remember, these folks apparently might be some kind of jewel thieves that could have possibly been involved with a robbery. It might not have even been that, but anyway, they think that there might be jewels at the bottom of the lake itself, and these folks told everybody else that the lake was poisoned possibly. Just to scare them off so they themselves can get this. It feels so much like a Scooby-Doo type plot, which I thought was cool because I love Scooby-Doo, especially the old Scooby-Doo stuff. So that was fun. If you're a big Scooby-Doo fan, again, that was really cool, a really enjoyable plot line. The only thing that with those neighbors, there were some times that I was a little surprised. I haven't read tons of Goosebumps. Like, I've read quite a bit. I think I've read quite my share of it. I've got, like almost 55 videos on my channel, and about 5 or 6 or 7 of those are just book haul videos. So close to 40 books in general. I've almost read the entire, classic era number, at least almost 62 books. Not just from that era, but amongst all the many eras. So I have my little bits of experience with what to expect with Goosebumps and where they'll kind of draw the line, what's probably going to be a fake out and what probably won't be as I read the books. This book surprised me. They actually had adults trying to drown a child, and it's not like these adults were, like a monster or like an alien or possessed by a ghost or anything like that. Legitimate adults, like human beings trying to drown a child that happened to be you watching this story happen through the character's eyes. Now again, this is one possibility out of many possibilities in the book. I was really surprised by that. And they don't just try to drown you once, and it's not like it's just, oh, we're going to try to drown you, and then the story just cuts off and, somebody interrupts. It's not like that. They almost kill you by drowning you, which again, the story is playing around with the idea of don't trust strangers, and it constantly says that, by the way. The book constantly mentions not going into strangers' houses, not just walking away with strangers and talking to them, not going swimming with strangers, all kinds of stuff like that, which is a good message. I like that. I'm a 90s kid. You see what's happening now in 2019. Kids are being kidnapped left and right, the pedo gate, the Pizzagate stuff, all that stuff. Terrifying times. It was scary in the 90s too. So this kind of book had some things there. It was trying to teach kids a little bit. It was good. Good thing. But again, still surprised. Adults trying to hurt kids in Goosebumps. Not even monster adults. Again, human adults. Parents. People. Neighbors. Wow. I'm really surprised by that. I'm not like I'm disappointed. I don't mean to come across like that. I'm just saying that I was shocked that I got to see that in here. The fourth story, lucky number 5, was it was kind of creepy. Not my favorite. Again, all of these. This book is good. It's just fine. It's decent, but it's good. It's a positive fine. You know what I mean? Like, you can say something is fine and really just kind of enjoyed it, for what it was. That's kind of what I did with this book. It was enjoyable. It was different. It was silly. It's unique to a lot of the other regular Goosebumps books I'm typically reading that are not Give Yourself Goosebumps books. But when it comes to other Give Yourself Goosebumps books, I don't think this was as good as those other ones. This fourth story was about you hanging out by the lake with your dog, and all of a sudden, a man covered in moss, like an old man, just comes out of nowhere and starts trying to talk to you about taking a swim. And he's trying to, like, throw you in the water. And we don't know what he's doing. Now, this man is a moss man. Like, he's got moss all over him and, like, on his face and stuff. It's kind of creepy. I'm not going to lie. Some of the endings with this particular book, I won't spoil them, they're a little wild. A little wild in the sense of not so satisfying, but also kind of, like, completely out of left field. It was wild. Again, it was fine. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed pretty much every Give Yourself Goosebumps book I've read. But still, that one was a really weird one to mix in with the other 3 stories that came before it. Because like I said, I try to read the entire book when I read these. I try to, put like 8 different bookmarks in here and read every single option as I go throughout the book and I find a new ending. Just because I enjoy it. And even at one point in this book, there's a chance to do some small time travel thing because of your lucky number powers. What? It was weird. There's some weird stuff in this book. Again, the second Give Yourself Goosebumps book that ever existed was called TikTok, You're Dead, and it heavily involves time travel. And that was a super great, fun book. I loved that book. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get over my cough. But Weekend at Poison Lake, it's the last special edition book. It might have been a trying to beat a deadline type of book. I don't know what Stein was going through when he wrote this, if he wrote this. There's a lot of rumor about stuff like that. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If he wrote this, again, it feels like it's kind of rushed a little bit. But I also like the new approach of having 4 short stories in here instead of having just, one story that goes to the left and having a bunch of different options that branch off to give you a bunch of endings. And then an option that goes taking a choice to go the right side of the road, getting a bunch of options there. This was like 4 straight up completely different stories that you're taking choices throughout, and it was still fun. It was a cool idea. Very different from a lot of the other Give Yourself Goosebumps books that I've read so far. I like it a lot. It was fine. It was a good read. I had a good time today. I had a good Sunday, just relaxing, reading this one. My fiance was sitting beside me doing her college work, her homework, whatever you want to call it. She was busy, so I got busy with this and read tons. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on Goosebumps, or Give Yourself Goosebumps, Last Chance Special Edition number 8, Weekend at Poison Lake? If you happen to have read this, I'd love to know your thoughts on it, guys. Thank you for watching. If I had to give this on a 5-star basis, a star rating, let's say, I'd probably give this maybe a 4 out of 5. It's kind of a weak 4 out of 5, It's not my favorite thing. It's not my favorite of the Give Yourself Goosebumps books at all. And yet it was still good, and yet it was still a highlight compared to a lot of the Goosebumps books I've read. These Give Yourself Goosebumps books, I say this in almost every single review when I talk about these are some of the most creative, enjoyably fun stories that Goosebumps has to offer. It really is, and it really surprises me how much of these I really enjoy. But yeah, what did you guys think about Weekend at Poison Lake? I almost forgot the title. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'd love to know your thoughts down below on my review, on my on this book. What your thoughts are. Did you think it was the best? Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite of all the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, or all the Goosebumps books that ever existed on the entire planet? I'd love to know all that down below. Sorry for the lengthier review. I thought it was worth mentioning the 4 different types of short stories you have to go through here. Just seemed like it was worthwhile. Like it might bring somebody else that has an interest for this kind of storytelling to this review. Maybe intrigue you a little bit more. again, Goosebumps has so much to offer. There's so many different ways to read stories from R.L. Stine. You know, it's great stuff, really fun stuff. Anyway, 4 out of 5 stars. Even if it is a weak 4 out of 5, it was still a 4 out of 5. Thank you guys for watching. May the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.